Hi everyone, and welcome to another one of our series of webinars here at Appri.io. My name is Charlie Cowens. I'll be helping Max Katz, who will be doing the presentation, and we're all excited about our newest release of Appri.io. So we're just going to dive right in and show you how everything is working.
All right, so this is the plan for today. And again, this is just kind of an overview of what we been working on the past couple of months. All right, so again, API Express, you can now, there's support for authentication. You can do LDAP, right? You can use your corporate LDAP, for example, and you can also use the Appri.io database, right? So there is a user collection that we had for a very long time, so you can use that as well. We also added support for offline support for Appri.io database, right? So again, you can build an app and then go offline, work with the app, and then go online, and the syncing will be done automatically. That's very neat. It just works behind the scenes, so there's not much really for you to do with regards to doing the syncing. It's just done for you automatically. There are some new components. There is a collapse component for Bootstrap and some more components for Ionic. Google Map was updated. There is a new side menu component, toggle range and spinner, also new. There is social login with Facebook, Twitter, and Google. As I mentioned, we had a user management capability for a long time where you can create a user, you can register a user, but creating yet another account is not something your user might want to do. That's why I can now add an option for your customers, your users, to log in via Facebook, Twitter, or Google, right? But of course, they can still register, right, in the old-fashioned way as well. Next, we've got a new outline view, and that's been actually, people, been requesting this feature for a long time, is that it makes it very easy to navigate the UI when you develop. Right, and I'll show you that. There are some improvements to Angular scope editor to make it easier to work with scope variables and functions. And the last thing is that we customize the session lifetime. So when you create a session, when you connect to our backend, the session time was I believe 60 minutes. And again, we've been getting a lot of feedback that for some people it's okay, but for some people maybe need it less or more. So now you can customize the session lifetime, right? You can maybe make it 2 hours if you would like. All right. So let's see. Let's kind of go in a little bit more detail for every feature here. Right, so let me go to the platform. All right, so let's review the API Express update. Let's go to API Express. Okay, so first, again, you can now connect to LDAP for authentication, right? So, I mean, the idea is that you can connect to LDAP, and then when you invoke a service, right, that person or that user would need to enter his or her LDAP credentials, for example. And let me open this. Actually, so the way you set up LDAP is right here. So let me go to resources. All right, and you can see that under resources, we're the same place where you have certificates, webhooks, right? You can basically create a new security provider. All right, and you can see right here, you can select either Appri.io database, right? And that's going to be using the user collection, right? That I'm sure you're familiar with. Or you can connect to LDAP, right? And this requires pretty much standard information. Again, if you connect it to LDAP, they should be all familiar to you, right? Or again, if you select the Appri.io database, then you just select which database, all right? And for example, I have one that's, let me see here. So my first database, all right? And you can always just test We should probably give it a name. And click test. All right, and this basically indicates that we're able to connect to the database, and then that this works. All right. So again, I already have one security provider that I could be using. All right. So again, you have two options: LDAP, right, your corporate LDAP, or the AppRead.io database. Now, how do you use this provider once you created the provider? All right. So you select any project. So for example, let's do to do here. And then you go to settings, and you're going to say that, any calls to the API that you created, and must be authenticated. And then you can select the security provider that you need. Right? That's how you add extra security. So for example, this is my security provider uses the AppRead.io database. And when I go to the API and I can test the API, notice that this will appear here, right? Because basically it asks, well, for this API to be invoked, you need to be a logged in user. And we made this available so it's easier for testing. Now, you can either copy the session token, right? If you do login, then you get the session token, but you can always just do it on the spot here. So I know there is a user max, right? And you can see it automatically insert the session token. And if I want to do, for example, I think my database is empty, but let's give this a try. Yeah, I actually don't have anything in the database. But let's enter something in the database. So this is the database, and let's enter just something. And we go back. All right. So you can see, but again, the extra, you now get extra security is that only a logged in user can invoke this API. And again, two options here. You can use the AppRead.io database, or you can use your corporate LDAP for this. All right. So this is for authentication. Let me just go back and take this off for now. All right. Now, next is, so when you create a new database connection, right? So again, we supported a SQL database since the beginning, but now we also added support for AppRead.io database. So when you create a new connection, right, you can select a relational database, or it can be an AppRead.io database, right? And again, you enter, and then you need to have at least one user in the user collection. And let's create my first database. And then again, you can test. You can see test successful, so I'm able to log in. All right, and so you do this in order to be able to support offline capability. All right, and that's what I'm going to show you next. Is that, why would you connect to an AppRead database from here? Well, again, because the API Express, this part of API Express provides an out-of-the-box offline sync capability, where again, you can build an app, go offline, work with the app, and then the changes will be automatically synced, which is pretty nice. So let me open an app that I built. All right, so this is an Ionic app, and a couple of things. So first of all, there's a new outline view, right? So, and you activate the outline view from here, all right, and it opens the view like this. And what it is that it allows you to navigate the view. Now, there's a side menu. So this is a new component that we added. Now, and it's hidden by default, but when you go to side menu, you'll see this little icon, and then you can see now it's visible. But this is basically, you see how you can navigate. It's much simpler than clicking inside the components and so on. Right? So this is the outline view. Again, it's very handy. It's not on by default because you probably don't need all on always. But again, you can always enable it, disable it via this outline. Right? You can hide it. Right? Or if you don't need the palette, for example, right, if you're maybe debugging something, you can always hide the palette and only show the outline view. All right, so again, this is very handy, and again, something that you guys have been asking for a long time, so it's finally here. Now, as for the side menu component from Ionic, so how do you add it? Well, it is added to the template page, which is the index, right? And you can see right here it says side menu, and you simply set it to true. And then inside the menu, you can put any components you want. Okay. Now, if I click test, right? So you put the mouse right at the border, right? And it looks very nice. It's very smooth. Works very nice, right? Now you can also, of course, use this, right? This button to open, right? So you can do that as well, but it's pretty nice. Now, to make the button work so that the button can open collapse, right, we need to add an attribute. Now, how do you close the menu? Well, first you can use this little icon, right? This is, or, right, you can also, there is an icon here. So when the side menu is open, you can hide it. Okay, and again, to open it back, you would do this. Okay, again, keep in mind that if you need more room here, you can always hide other views, right, which you might not need for a specific time period. So I do that sometimes. Again, when I'm working on a particular page, I have my files open here. I don't need this project view, and I get more space this way. All right, but let's go ahead and run this app. So let's run this. Okay, so I'm going to click load list, and this is it's connected to this database. Now, one thing, just to guys let you know in case you're going to try it, there is a minor, I guess, bug, if you want to call it, where the list is not loaded when the first page is being loaded. That's why I have this button here. It's something we're going to fix it tomorrow or the next day, but just keep that in mind that, just in case you're going to try it. That's why I have this button to load the list, right? So again, when all right. Now, this is the menu. Let's add one more item. All right, and we're back to the list. And if I refresh the database, I have another item here. And let's do one more. What should we do? Right? So now I've got 3 items. So this is all nice, right? And I mean, something that it's pretty straightforward to do. Now let's see how we can actually go offline and still be able to use this app. All right, and then when we go online, the changes will be automatically synced. Now, obviously, if I take my laptop offline, you won't be able to see my screen. So to mimic this behavior, the offline library provides 2 methods, basically. Well, it has more, but primarily you can go offline and you can go online back, right? And that's why you guys see I have this toggle here. That's actually another new component, all right? So now I can go offline, right? And I can, right? And I'm going to click. Now, if I go to the database and click refresh, all right, so this is a different book. So you can see that the new item that I just added is not there. Let's do one more. What do you want to do, Charlie? What should we do?
War and Peace.
Let's do Dev Center, right? Something like this. all right? And if I go back here, I should have only same number of items, right? Because I'm offline right now.
Right.
Okay. Now I go here and I'm going to go online, right? So, I just landed and now I'm online. And it takes just a few seconds. And if I go back here, click refresh, I can see the items in the database. So as you can see, this is kind of magic, but it's just really awesome how this works, is that the sync happened automatically. All right. There's a way you can add an indicator that something is happening. You can do that as well. But I think what's really nice is that this is all done behind the scene for you. There's nothing really for you to do. All you just work with the APIs the same way. You add items to the list, right, and you display all the items from the list. Okay. So this is pretty nice. So let's see how this is done, how this is implemented. Let me open this. Now to have this feature available, right, we need to use API Express SDK that we built that has this capability to sync available, basically, right? And to generate these services, right, the way you would do it, so all these services, they were automatically generated for me. To generate them, you would go to Create New, select Extension, and then select API Express Generator. Okay? And then, right, it will show you, right, your API Express projects, and you can select for which project to generate all the services, right? I don't want to click now because it will just regenerate them, but this is how you do it, right? So if we open every service, it is still a service, but you can see it actually uses a custom implementation, right? So it's a generic service. I'm sure some of you actually created generic services before. The idea of a generic service is that you define the logic of the service. You specify the input, you specify what it does, and then you specify the output. And that's exactly what this does, right? So we take care of doing this everything for you. So this is a get, right? This is let me close this. Oh, this is just a general operations. Yes. So this is a find. Sorry. So this is a find. So this will find all the records in the database, but again, out of the box, it also supports offline sync. Okay. Let's see what's next here. So we also covered some of the new components, but I guess what I can do now is let me actually share this up with you, and so you guys could try running it, right, via the tester app. Okay, so let's do that. Let me close. And right here, you'll see there's a new section called Share via Operator Tester App, and I'm going to enable it, all right? And the steps are pretty simple, right? So first, you ask your client, colleague, or friend to install the tester app. You generate the code, and then give them the code and to enter in the tester, right? So they generate the code in this webinar, all right? And there's a default, it will expire in I think 7 days, that's the default value, but you can change if you would like. And now, so this is the code. Okay, so if you guys install the app, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this into the chat. So for everyone, all right? And so install the app. Again, you don't need to log in. There is a link. Enter a code. And so try this, enter this code, and it will load this app. And we made the code numeric, so it's easier to enter the code, right? So you don't need to switch between numeric and characters.
It's very considerate of you. Okay.
All right, very good. So I see Charlie here loaded the app.
Even I could do it.
Yes. And so honestly, what I'm going to do also is I'm going to run this on my iPad just to show you. Now, you might run into another small glitch, and again, I'll try to figure this out. When you load the app for the first time, the toggle might be offline for you, right? Your app is actually online, but it might still show offline, but just play with it, make it online, and it will just work the same way. But for some reason, the initial state is not updated right away, and it just shows offline. But try working with the app. Try putting the app into offline mode, and then syncing, right? And then putting it back into online mode. And then we can watch here, right? I can watch in the database and see if you guys are using it. So I do see that some folks are able to run the app. Now, so I guess there is a question, is that if the offline mode detected automatically, not right now. So it's something you need to detect. But I know Cordova has API to detect if you're online or not, or if there is a wireless connection, or if there is a Wi-Fi connection.
Okay.
So for now, no. For now, there's no automatic detection. All right, so let's refresh here. All right. All right, so I see it's working. I see there's one comment, have Max increase app response time. We would like that, but it would be good to know what exactly is not working as fast as you think it should. So do let us know. And I do want to hear if the offline is working, right? That will be, you can put this into the chat if you would like, or put a comment.
Or just put it into the to-do list, right?
So, but I guess, I do want to show you, maybe it's kind of I showed you the services, but I didn't show you how they're being generated. Let me just quickly show you. Let me create a brand new app. We'll call this Offline 2. I want to show you how to generate these services. So you go to Create New, Extension, API Express Generator, right? And you can see I have two projects, right? I have two projects in the API Express. So expenses, this one points to a SQL database, and then to do, this one points to the Apri.io database. Again, so you create an API Express project, again, either Apri.io database or an external SQL database, and then you select, and then you click Generate. This name is fine, and you click OK. Now, one thing you need to do now, once the generation is done, we need to actually just reload the builder. And we're actually going to add a button so you don't have to use the browser buttons to do that. And you can see all these services were generated, right? Which is pretty nice. And again, these services now have support for offline sync, right? So that's how you do it. Let's see. All right. I see people it's working. Get more support people. We also would like to do that, and we're looking at options. We can add more. But again, we would like to hear if there are any specific challenges you're having with support. We can get Charlie help us with support. But no, again, if you want to send us specific feedback, they will definitely help us. All right, so this is for offline. Let me see. All right, so let's go back. Now, one more thing is that we're actually adding offline support for jQuery mobile apps as well, and that's coming in a couple of weeks. All right, let's go back to this app. I want to show you. So scope improvements, right? So this is the AngularJS scope editor. what we did is that we made it a little bit easier. So before, this is the only view that was available, right? And there is not much room here to write code, right, unless you do a little alert or something. So what you can do now is you can switch to just functions, right? And you have a lot more room now. You can switch just to variables, right? Or the split. This is the default view that we had before. You can also position them so you can see now it's horizontal. You can also switch to a vertical view, right? So you can have the at the top, right? So again, it's up to you which one you prefer. But now it's a little bit easier to work with the scope, okay? And I think the last thing, let's go to the database, is that how do you extend the session token? If you guys remember, that was one of the items. Yes, and just Charlie mentioned I forgot the social login, so we'll do that as well.
Oh, my favorite.
Let's see here. So my first database, open settings. So right here, right, you can now customize the session timeout, right? Now the social login is actually right here, right? So this is in the context of a database, and it's very straightforward. We support 3 social providers right now. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Google. And of course, also, it's available out of the box. You get the app.io database, right? That's the user's collection. So to support social login, there's really very little you need to do. But first is you need to add an app on the social network side, right? So for example, you would go to Facebook, sign up for a developer account, same thing for Google and Twitter. Then you would create an app on their site. So this is how it looks.
And the tutorial that describes that all pretty thoroughly.
So this is my app on the Facebook side, right? You can give it any name. And there are 2 things that you really need. That when you create an app, you will get an app ID and an app secret. And when you create a new app, you can give it any name, and then you will enter the client ID, which is the app ID, and the client secret, and the secret ID, right? And that's all basically you need to do. Again, you create an app on the provider side, and then you register the app, okay? Now let's open one of the apps. Let me close this. And let me open the social login app. So this is pretty simple. All I have is 2 options for logging in my app. You can use the old, sort of the standard username and password, right? That's the app.io database. Or you can also do it via Facebook. Now, what do you need to do to log in via Facebook? Well, all you have to do is call this API, basically app.io user login Facebook. Right, this is, let me just remove this. This is just, this is my code. And you give it the app ID, right? And then you specify this is your app URL, which is basically right here, right? This is the running app URL, right? And that's it. And this is how you're going to log in into Facebook. I mean, that's basically all you need to do. We do have an API that I'm going to show you in a second with examples. All right. So, for example, login Facebook. Right. So this is the API that you would be using. We have a similar for login Google, login Twitter, and so on. All right. So again, it's very simple. There is really very little for you to do. I mean, you can be up and running, I don't know, in 20 minutes with social login, right? All you have to do, again, have an account with the provider. I mean, most likely you guys already have a Facebook, Twitter, Google account. Create an app, and then for your users, right, for your customers, they now could have an option to log in with the standard username and password with Facebook, Twitter, or Google, right? the last thing I want to show, I just want to actually show you the app running on my iPad. I think I said I was going to do that, and maybe I forgot. So let me enable my sharing here for a second. Give me a sec. Sometimes it takes a few minutes here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so this is the app with the offline capability. And again, this is also using the operator tester, but you guys already know that because you're able to run this app, which is pretty nice. So let's reload the list. Let me just refresh. All right, here we go. So you can see, all the items, and again, we can go to offline. All right. Again, I definitely like to hear if offline worked for you guys. So,
so you want people to post in the
yeah, if you guys want to post just quickly, yeah. If offline work for you, so that would be good to know. But let me show you the Facebook. So let me go to the social login. Let me launch this app. All right, so you can see there is the app that I just showed you, and then log in with Facebook. So when you're running for the very first time, and I'm already logged in, right, it would ask you, would you like to allow this app to access your Facebook permissions? And I think this feature is asking you for the very minimum permissions, right? We're not going to be making any calls on your behalf, so we don't need access to any information, just the very bare minimum. Now, what this means is this is a token. This is a session token that you get. Once you have a session token, you can now continue working as a logged-in user, right? I mean, that's the whole idea of a login, right? With the regular username and password, you log in and you get a session token. Now you can work as a logged-in user. Same thing here, right? But now you can use Facebook, Twitter, or Google, and you get a token, and then you can continue working as the app user, right? So that's that's the whole idea. Let me stop sharing here.
Stop sharing.
Let's go back. So I think we actually covered everything. All the new stuff. And so let's go to the next slide here.
Yeah, and I'll give you a break. All right, so our next webinar, before we get to the Q&A, we'll do this announcement, is for our next webinar, we'll be building a to-do app. And the whole point of that is to showcase how Ionic and Appri.io work together and to produce this example app. And Max will be doing it again. It'll be the same time, two weeks from now, on the 26th of August. And just a little note, you can always keep up with whatever we're doing by following Appri.io, the Appri.io page and Plancast. There's the link right there. And so let's get this. Okay, so here's the all-important contact screen. This will be, I'll leave this up while we're doing the Q&A unless Max has to actually show you something in the Appri.io. There's our email addresses. One thing I'd like to stress too is we're always interested in future webinar topic suggestions. We like to keep a regular schedule of webinars, but we want them to be as useful as possible to our community of users. So the best way to ensure that is if you give us feedback. So send us email on those two things. You can send it to either of us or both of us or whatever. We really appreciate any kind of feedback you could give us. There's also, just really quickly, there's the Dev Center, which is sort of your one-stop shop for all your information resources that you could possibly find about Appri.io. We always like people to connect with us through Facebook and through Twitter. and come back to our our calendar, which is the social calendar called PlanCast. That is important. Not only does it list future webinars, but other events we might be putting on, and also it shows you the events that we're planning on going to give you an idea of what we're up to, which is always useful. So I'm going to start asking Max some questions. We'll leave this up. So Max, now you have to start talking again. I think you may have touched on this, but when you were talking about the offline capability, you were mentioning that is it only for, you have to use API Express to take advantage of that, right?
Correct.
So it's only
Yes.
for API Express apps, okay? And, is there, now that the session timeout is now more flexible, but is there a maximum that you can set it for? I mean, is there any limit to what kind of?
You know what? I would need to check. I'm not sure that there is a limit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there is a very large number, but.
Okay, and then here's a question. I'm not sure. It was asked in the, maybe if I checked it in the context, how do you log out with Facebook?
Yeah, there is a logout method.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh,
available.
okay. So that's there. Does this work if the app is not published on the web? Thinking the link is for web published apps only?
So which link?
Yeah, can the person who posted that question give us a little more context? I'm sorry, that's part of the that is the FB login. Oh, that's what they're asking about.
I'm not sure. Is the question about the Facebook app that you create on the Facebook side?
The API has a link for the Facebook call.
Yeah, I mean, it will. I guess I'm not sure I understand. It's not published on the web. It's just. I mean, it doesn't need to be published. Right? I mean, you can run it from the test page as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't necessarily need to be published for it.
Oh, okay. All right. I have a question. So release 20 is this is all part of release 20. What can you tell us a little about what's going to be in release 21, the next major release? What are you guys thinking about putting in? I know you can't really you can't completely.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is, as I mentioned, we're adding offline support for jQuery mobile apps.
Okay. Okay.
So that's going to be. We're also adding a flow like. Sort of engine for API Express, so you can say, call this service, then call this service, combine the result, and that's going to be your custom API. So that's going to be available as well.
So there's two things that come to mind immediately.
Yeah. We're also working on. So it's pretty cool. Is that where you can make app updates without going through the App Store? We're working on that as well.
Oh, okay.
So you'll be able to push updates without going through the App Store.
Oh, okay. Here's another question from someone about, they want a little more detail about the Facebook logout. The question is it included in the API?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we'll just, if there are no further questions, I think I'll leave it up for a second, and then we'll just call it stick a fork in it, so to speak. Here's a question. Do you have any information about which UI frameworks are using your users for develop? Here's the question is, what's the breakdown just as an estimate for how many people or Apri users are using jQuery mobile versus Bootstrap or Ionic, or do you have those stats at your fingertips?
I don't have that information.
Okay.
No.
Well, the main thing is Bootstrap and Ionic are relatively new in Apri.io, so it would be lower, I bet. What's the story with jQuery mobile? Is it going to continue to be developed and?
Absolutely. We're going to continue to support it, update jQuery mobile libraries, update Apache Cordova. So that's definitely fixing bugs.